Bobby Grana Weeb Nitty Bung, I'm Engineer Hoist, and welcome to this year's Transformers Earth Wars review. Any time a year ends, it's always nice to go look back at the year that was and see all the great things that we got. And since we talk about Transformers Earth Wars here, thank you for hosting Blade Prime. Since we talk about Transformers Earth Wars here, I figured let's go back and look at all the great stuff that we got in the game. New bots, new features in the game, and it should be a fun time. Let's go ahead and do that now. So this is the Transformers Earth Wars Rewind 2020, and okay, so we started off the year with a new pair of bots at the barrel roll event when they came out, and we got Strafe and Thrust. Strafe was the first of the Techno bots to come in the game, giving everybody a hint of the next Autobot combiner to come. And Thrust, he had a couple of design changes along the way, but I think we landed on a pretty good design there. These guys turned out to be pretty solid bots with their Berserk abilities, and there were bots worth getting, especially Strafe if you're an Autobot, because C.O.M.B.A.T has been confirmed to be coming in 2021. Moving on, we added another pair of Beast Wars characters. We got Dinobot and his future self, as it turns out, Dinobot 2. Striking a fancy little pose over there in the event called Fossil Feuds. So it's all kind of like Fossil Fuels, but they changed one letter and became Fossil Feuds. So that was fun time, and they got a pretty cool little ability which throws out the extra little holograms, which actually do damage this time, unlike some of the holograms we've seen before. And definitely fun bots. Always good to get more Beast Wars love in the game to go along with the other Beast Wars. Grand Galvatron, he walks the dinosaur. Yeah, you should be sorry. Anyway, next up, we got a big announcement. We got a new level of Headquarters 17, and along with that, we also got a new game mode called Elimination Mode, where you could win a new type of currency called Z-ENERGON. And that Z-ENERGON, and Elimination Mode is where you'll earn Z-ENERGON. You can actually check out my video on that, gives you all the details. And you need that to level up your buildings and bots to the Headquarters 17 level. Big thing that came in during Headquarters 17 is another upgrade to the Research Lab, which allowed 4- and 5-star bots to actually be leveled to level 65. Yeah, so that is a big deal. It does cost you Z-ENERGON and a whole ton of Energon to do it, but it's definitely worthwhile if you're at that level. Next up, the next pair of bots, we're continuing down the path of Computron bots for the Autobots with the Technobot Nose Cone, and we get the first indication of who the Decepticon counterpart is going to be with Drillhorn, who gave indications that Lio-Kaiser is going to be the next combiner paired with Computron. These guys, their abilities were not super great. They're decent tanks. They do look good, very much like their Combiner Wars toys that came out that they're based on, but their abilities are they're basically like Sludge, where they do damage to a wall, but only one wall at a time. So they're decent tanks, but the abilities aren't so great. But hey, not every bot can be a winner. All right, moving on. The next thing, right on the heels of Headquarters 17, we got a whole brand new feature. We learned about the combat bots. Oh, let's see if I can remember what this stands for. The Cybertronian Omnifunctional Modular Battle Assault Tech, or something like that. I should have wrote that down before we recorded, but it's close enough. But anyway, it does actually stand for something. But it's the combat bots. So these are basically like the Battle Masters or Target Masters that we're seeing in the Siege and Earthrise toy lines, and you can equip them to your bots to give them extra abilities, and they're actually really fun to use for the most part. And the first set of combat bots that came in, they had brought in 4 when it was first released. The first pair was Ravage, finally added to the game, and he was paired with the Autobot Night Stalker. And as cassettes, they basically are just like extra little minions that you can equip to anybody. Most people put Ravage on Soundwave, obviously. I have to admit, I did the same thing. So they just basically go around independently and cause havoc on your the base that you're attacking. Also up, we got Flak and Cratermaker, and these guys were actually big deals because a lot of people liked Onslaught and Skyburst ability that does kind of they're a gunner that does kind of an area of effect damage. If you equip Flak or Cratermaker to any of the bots that you can do that to, gunners and even air bots, it will basically turn them into have an attack style just like Skyburst and Onslaught. And they're very, very helpful in doing that. Next up, we got Fire Drive and Blowpipe. These guys, they do help you do a little bit of extra damage to walls. They increase the damage done by the bots, and I believe they do actually put out a little bit of a fire effect as well on a few attacks. Not the strongest bots in the batch, but every combat bot has a use. And the final bots that came out in this first wave were Taraxodon and Pterodactyl. These bots turn into axes, as you can tell by the puns in their name, and they can be equipped to the melee bots and cause extra damage, and based on the damage, they will actually heal your bot for a small percentage of that. So that was actually, I really like these guys, and definitely worth putting on your frontline tanks. The next action, and that began the trend of not only getting new bots every month, but also a new combat bot every month. So now we'll be going back and forth between new bot and combat bot with a few extra little surprises sprinkled in there. Next new bots we got were Brainstorm and Guy-Hawk. Brainstorm, he's not a Technobot, but he's still a very cool bot to have on the Autobots. I always liked Brainstorm. I had the G1 as a kid. In fact, I still do over in the other room. Always a fun time playing around with Brainstorm. Guy-Hawk helped continue the path towards Lio-Kaiser. And these guys had a pretty nice little ability. Thank you for hosting Katamis Time. And where they go and fly out, and they will. It's kind of like Air Raid and Slipstream, where they target a certain group of buildings, and if any one of those buildings is destroyed, it will cause damage to the whole group. So a little bit like Air Raid and Slipstream, but it's better. Yeah. The next combat bots we got is another pair of really good bots for the melee, Lionizer and CATGUT. These bots actually turn into swords when equipped, and they will cause damage melee style. They put out a little burst of fire similar to Snarl or Hunger. And the cool thing about these guys are, if the bot that is wielding them happens to fall in battle, these guys hop down, turn into their little lion or cat mode, and will continue the fight. And they shoot out a nice little beam laser, and on more than one occasion, I have actually won with only Lionizer or CATGUT on the field. Very useful bots to have, especially if you're trying to solo bases. Next up, we got Six Gun and Trigger Happy. Six Gun is our first weaponizer that we've seen from the Siege line. He doesn't actually weaponize in the game. He just acts like a normal bot. And then you've also got Trigger Happy over there. And side note, the toy for Trigger Happy from the Titans Return line is a fantastic toy. But these guys, their ability, they're gunners, but they put out a whole lot of damage when you fire off their ability. It burns things. Multiple targets get hit. They can be pretty devastating if used well. The next combat bots we got were Top Shot and Fireline, and these guys turned out to be favorites of pretty much everybody in the game. When you equip these guys to a gunner, they will continue their normal gunning attack. But now, every time their normal attack hits, it sets things on fire. And that is a huge, huge help to cause massive amounts of damage without even having to spend the extra ability points for your gunners. So excellent bots. Definitely, if you get Top Shot or Fireline, you're doing really well. Up next, these are game-changing bots here. C.O.M.B.A.T and FEUDS. Oh my goodness, these little bots, when you use their special ability, they put out a little shock tower, and it lasts for 30 seconds, and it will keep sending out little stun signals to everything around, and it really helps. It doesn't stun them 100% of the time, but it may as well. You might be able to get one attack in or something like that, but it really helps protect your bots when you're attacking, and it's devastating when used in an outpost. If you happen to have a 3-star or even just a 2-star C.O.M.B.A.T or FEUDS, put them in your outpost, and they can really turn the tide on your defense. I always hate when I attack a base and find that C.O.M.B.A.T or FEUDS is in one of the outposts. Definitely great bots to have. The next combat bots are TRENCHFOOT and Caliburst. These guys are also kind of a little bit of a miss as far as combat bots go. They can have a use. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but their biggest thing is they will cause additional damage to any target that is on fire, under acid, or slowed down, like with a smoke, or any other kind of a bot that does that kind of a thing. And so if you pair a bot with TRENCHFOOT or Caliburst with say a bot such as that has, like, say, Top Shot or Fireline, then it can be pretty devastating. But if they're off on their own, the impact is a little minimal. Still, there's always advantages. There's always ways to use it. If you don't ever not use a combat bot. The next bots to get are Lightspeed and Iron Bison. So here we're actually working towards Computron and Lio Kaiser. And these guys are pretty decent tanks, and they've got a very interesting ability. It's kind of a slingshot ability, where it will actually, you can target a building, and they will speed off, cause the damage, and then return right back where they started. So all of those times where you, like, say, send in Grimlock or Razor Claw, and they go in and they do damage, but now they're right in the middle of everything else, and they ultimately end up dying just because they're in over their heads out in front of everybody. These guys kind of do the same thing, except they return back to the safety of the group. So that can be actually very helpful. So we're not going combat bots this time, but now we got new combiners. They're technically combiners, but these guys, Blue Missile, thank you for the follow. Omega Supreme was finally added to the game, as was Overlord. These guys are technically combiners in that they're in the combiner lab, but you build them differently. You do not collect other bots for them. In fact, for the very first time, you unlock these guys initially at 2-star level by completing a brand new campaign, the War for Cybertron campaign. So as long as you can get to that campaign, you can get yourself a combiner. And you do have to collect additional parts. There is a 3-star part, a 4-star part, and even a 5-star part yet to come. We haven't seen the 5-star part yet, but you can continue to level them. And but the 2-star level is very easy to obtain without even having to go crazy trying to collect bots. So very, very cool. It's a easy entry for anybody to get their first combiner, but then they can also go on to be the most powerful one eventually if you're able to collect the millions of combiner Spark and Energon and Z-ENERGON to ultimately get them to that 5-star level. Very cool. Very happy to see these guys show up. And right along with them in the War for Cybertron campaign, we got skin cores. These cores actually do absolutely nothing for your bots except change how they look. Similar to the G1 power cores, which did add additional abilities and changed the look of the bots. These just don't change any of the abilities, but they do change the look to more of a War for Cybertron, dirty kind of battle-worn, battle-weary look to coincide with the release of the Netflix War for Cybertron Siege television series. And they're very cool. Typically, they're given out as an early reward in an event, maybe once a month or 2 months or so. I would say it's probably about once a month they've been doing it, and it's very early on and very cool. And you just get a random core for any of the bots that have been released, and you can put it on any of your bots. Even if they have a G1 core, this will override whatever other look that you happen to have on that bot, and it's fun time if you want to use it, but you don't have to. That's the kind of the nice thing about it is if you choose not to have this look on your bots, you're not missing out on any additional abilities or boosts for the bots. The next combat bots we got were the first of the healing type. These were the first combat bots that could be used by medics and medics only, Rung and Shroot. And what's really cool about these guys is you can equip them to any of the bots and basically give an area of effect, kind of a healing. It will, and I believe a little bit of a shielding. It's best to put on, say, Ratchet, Wheeljack, Hook, or Shockwave, not so much Reflector or First Aid, because they do already kind of have that area of effect healing. But you can put them on them if you want to. So very cool to have these guys, and they definitely do help out the medics quite a bit. And following on the heels of Gnaw and Impactor, we get our third double dealing bot, appropriately named Double Dealer. If you're a fan of the G1, I wouldn't say cartoon because I don't remember him being in the cartoon, but at least the toy lines. I actually had the G1 toy, I still do, and actually one of my favorites. But he showed up coinciding with the release of his new toy in the was it the Siege or Earthrise? I can't remember. I'm sure somebody will say in the comments, but spitting image of that new toy, and nice. He's a triple changer, and he will and he does have that combined abilities, very similar to the other recent triple changes we've had. He'll fire a missile and set an area on fire. Then he can also turn into his bird mode and fly over and fire off acid missiles, which will stack the damage. So excellent new bot to have. Star Saber is saying it was Earthrise. Thank you so much. I knew somebody would do it for me. Get that answer for me. And then we got the new campaign called Regenesis. If you complete that, you'll get a new building type called the HELIO-HARVESTER, which you can add onto your base, and allows you to spend alloy to double your energon output, because everybody who plays this game knows that energon is a scarce resource to have no matter how much you play, especially early on. Energon is hard to come by. So this is a way to help you do that. It was also released in conjunction with a campaign for some charitable cause, which I don't really remember. But regardless of whether that cause is still going on, directly combined with the game, the campaign remains, and you can add this building to your base. It does add another ability point that your attackers can get by destroying it, but if you need some additional energon production by your energon harvesters, it can be useful. The next combat bots we got are the second of the cassette type bots to go along with Ravage and Night Stalker. We got Dial for the Autobots and Overkill for the Decepticons, and you may not recognize some of these unless you've been playing the game or you're a fan of obscure characters, because we are going pretty deep into the obscure territory as we move on with the combat bots. Not everything has come out. In the recent Siege and Earthrise lines, these guys are included, but they like Ravage and Night Stalker, they do kind of go off on their own when you deploy your bot that they're equipped to in battle, and they will go and cause some damage, breathe a little bit of fire, and it's just an extra bot on the battlefield that can help you know, fight. I lost my words there. It happens. Okay, next up we've got Afterbreaker and Flame War. So we are continuing the Technobot building. And Flame War was first introduced in the Transformers Collector Club. I believe that's the first of the bots in the game that was originally from that Collectors Club storyline. And these two little bots, they're pretty decent. They kind of do a similar thing to Tigerhawk and what's his counterpart, Waspinator or Swoop and Scourge, in that they actually kind of travel in a circle and they will cause some damage. They'll throw out some EMP pulses. The difference is, instead of flying above, they actually stay on the ground and do all of their damage. Good little bots to have. Next combat bots are Smashdown and Razor Sharp. The Smashdown turns into a hammer, and Razor Sharp, I think, is an axe. I can't remember. But they're additional melee bots, and when you equip them to a bot, every few seconds or every couple of smashes that bot uses will actually stun the defense that they're attacking. They can actually be pretty useful during the raids. I've got my Smashdown on Optimus Prime, and it definitely helps when he's fighting those big defenses during the raids. And when they first came out, actually we learned, this is still so cool to me, Razor Sharp, the crazy colors, crazy as they may be, are actually based on a real-life crab called the Halloween crab. Go look it up. It's really amazing to see. Moving on to the normal bots, we've got Trailbreaker and Exhaust. Trailbreaker finally makes it into the game, which got me a little excited because now they have a mold that they could easily reskin into Hoist. Still no word on that yet. Hoping to see him in 2021 perhaps. But Trailbreaker and Exhaust, they are support bots, and they take the cue from Trailbreaker's original G1 ability, in that they provide a force field for anybody that's around them. So when you activate their ability, they will actually do a little bit of a force field shield, and any other of their fellow attacking comrades that are inside that will be shielded from attack. Shortly after those guys came out, we learned a new way to collect bots. Now, when you get duplicates of regular bots or combat bots, and also additional are provided if you purchase bundles, you can collect bot shards or character shards for whichever bot that you happen to get. 2-star bots will give you a few, 3-star bots will give you more, 4-star bots will give you even more. And 5-star bots don't give you any, because there's no such thing as a duplicate 5-star. But if there was, they'd give you even more than the 4-star. So if what this does is it allows you, as you collect enough, to basically have a cap on how many of the bots that you have to collect, to how many duplicate 2- and 3-star of a certain bot, or there's a cap to how many bundles that you have to buy before you're able to get a 4-star version of the bot. Once you've collected 2,500 of the character shards for any individual character, you can then trade those in for a 4-star crystal guaranteed for that particular character. So definitely a big help. It's a long road if you're only collecting based on duplicates. But it's a nice thing to be collecting anyway. Next set of combat bots, and I believe this is the last set that we got for this year. We already know who's coming next, but this is the last ones that we actually got this year, are Glitch and Gatorface. These guys are so obscure, I had no idea who they were. I had to go look them up, but sure enough, they have roots in G1. Gatorface was an Action Master partner of Croc. which kind of makes sense. Gatorface actually showed up in the Titans Return line as the headmaster for that Croc figure. Glitch, I cannot remember his history, but he has one. These guys basically turn your bot into kind of a sniper. They expand the range of the gunners, and every so often they do allow cause a critical hit, causing a little bit more damage than the normal attack. So that could be helpful. Not Gatorade, Gatorface. And the last bots that we got this year, a couple of weeks ago, or I guess it's last year now, but in 2020 were Scattershot and Leozak. These guys were the final pieces for Computron and Lio-Kaiser, the leaders of each of those individual groups. And yeah, it's haven't had a chance really to play with my Scattershot since it's been so early, but their ability is kind of similar to kind of how gunners do, where they'll shoot out a barrage of acid and cause damage in a large area, and it's can be pretty helpful. Like I said, I haven't really had a chance to play with it much. But I'm sure they've got a place on somebody's team. At the very least, you got to have them if you want to get Computron or Lio-Kaiser when they finally release those particular combiners. And a big surprise, right after we got those guys, we got the Headquarters 17.5. And the reason it's 0.5 is there's not actually an increase in the Headquarters level. They just added new defenses if you happen to have... Once you're at Headquarters 17, if you were already there, you've got new defenses to add. Or once you reach Headquarters 17, they'll already be there for you. First up, you get the ability to add 2 multi-defense systems, and what it does is it allows you to choose either a plasma cannon, a laser gun, or a minigun, and it's basically a long, medium, and short range defense. And when your people come in and attack your base, they can see the multi-defense system there, but they don't know what's in it. So it does add a little bit of a surprise factor when you're attacking bases that are Headquarters 17 level. Obviously, once you get close enough and they pop up, you'll see what's in there, and then you can adjust your strategy in there once that happens. But by that time, it may be too late. The other building that they added is you had the ability to add 4 spider mines. These are innocuous-looking little discs. They look very similar to the stasis mines, but they are different. These you can actually target and destroy, unlike the stasis mines. But while they are active, every few seconds they release a spider that will go in beeline for, I guess, spider line as the case may be, for your bots that are nearby, and once they reach your bot, they explode and they cause damage. So when you see the spider mines on there, those are going to be prime targets. You want to try to get those taken out pretty much as soon as you can, unless you've got like some seriously high health bots. But even then, they will knock a good portion of your health off if you can't get them taken out in a timely manner. Additionally, we got the ability to upgrade the build bots. Yes, the build bots. If you're at a Headquarters level 17, you can spend some Z-ENERGON and I think some alloy and maybe some Energon. I can't remember. But you can upgrade them to level 2. One of the things that does is normally the build bots don't give any ability points. If you upgrade them to level 2, they will now grant an ability point, but it also allows you the ability to add power cores to those build bots. And they do have special power cores where if you equip the health power core, I can't remember their names, but the health one will actually give a little pulse similar to my Cronus Prime to heal the defenses that are nearby. They also have the EMP one will actually shield the bots within that range of being stunned from EMP effects. And they also have a force field disruptor, I think it's called, where it will actually reduce the effects of any kind of shielding that the attacking bots have. Things like Trax's smoke cloud, or Trailbreaker or Exhaust's force field. So most people have been putting their build bots way out front to try to help path the attackers, but once you actually get the build bots to level 2 and start putting on these power cores, now you got to rethink your base and think about getting them back in there within the rest of your defenses, so that, say, the healing or the EMP or the force field protection can actually take effect. So it is kind of game changing, because it does make you rethink about how you want to destroy your base. And that was basically it for the year 2020, but we did get a big announcement right there at the end that Fortress Maximus and Scorponok, the Titans, will be coming in 2021 in the raids. The same raids where we have seen Metroplex and Trypticon now can also include Fortress Maximus or Scorponok. Yeah, so we took a look at what they can do, but we should be seeing them coming in raids very, very soon. But that's basically the Transformers Earth Wars review for 2020, and a quick little preview for 21. We haven't seen Computron or Lio-Kaiser yet, so I can't really put them up, pictures of them up, but we know they're coming. It's likely to be 3 or 4 months down the road. Usually that's about what it takes after they release the last bot, which of course was Scattershot and Leo Zach there early December. So I'm thinking March or April we'll probably be looking at seeing Computron or Lio-Kaiser. Could be a little bit later. Could be earlier. Time will tell. All we know is it's coming soon, and but these guys, Fortress Maximus and Scorponok, will be coming sooner. And that's going to do it. We do record live. We do news streams every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/EngineerHoist, where we talk about the news. Strategies, we'll answer questions, we'll crack a few crystals, and generally just hang out and have a good time. We always do record the videos and put them up on YouTube as well, if that's your preferred way of viewing it. Either way, hope to see you there. I'm Engineer Hoist. Keep rolling, my friends, and we'll see you next time.